Today is the 11th of November 2019. I am Joseph Mifsud speaking. This is my voice. I would like, first of all, to say that I have absolutely no contact with friends and family and have had no contact with friends and family for a number of months now. It's been almost 2 years to date that the whole issue, blown up issue, has been presented to the world media and on the world stage as if I had something to do with issues concerning countries or trying to infiltrate absolutely absurd programs, contacts, or any other institutions of the world. I have been a networker all my life, and this is what I am good at. I try to bring one group in contact with another. Not, I repeat and underline, nobody in any service, secret service, intelligence service, or anybody of this sort. If I had any contact with this, I have not known that this person or that person had any link with any institution. So this is extremely important. I have, and I categorically refute, as I did in the only two interventions which I made, one on the Italian La Repubblica and the other one when I was called on the initial day, I think it was the first day when all this broke out, by the Daily Telegraph in London. I have had nothing to do. I tried to do nothing else except, as I've always done, put A in contact with B in contact with C, for purely, I would call academic purposes. Okay? The idea is to have networks. I've always been involved in think tanks. These think tanks were meant to bring one group to speak to the other about a topical issue. That is all. It was not my intent, never was my intent, to try to obtain any information to pass from one side to the other. I have never done so because I was never in possession of any information which could be useful to one or the other. All I knew were people who came from think tanks. In terms of the institutions that I represented in the past, I can assure you, both in the UK, in Italy, and elsewhere, I always tried to make sure that young people have the opportunity of interacting with each other. That is all. So, I've been reliably informed recently that Link Campus has been accused of setting issues or being involved with services. I categorically refute and refuse to accept any of this. There has never been anything of this sort. I've had friends and acquaintances, obviously from the university, but it is important to say that these were representing their own interests. So it was not me trying to put them in touch with somebody else. They never asked me, and I never, absolutely never tried to do that. Whenever I met somebody, and this has been proven over and over again, I tried to keep that person or that institution in mind if there is going to be a project or an event in which that institution can actually play a part in. That is what I try to be. I've always considered myself as, also according to my Catholic creed, to be a bridge builder, building between one and the other. That is all that I wish to do. Obviously, I have my own mind about certain things. So if somebody asks me how things are going to be, what do I think will happen, I obviously have an opinion like every other human being in this world. So it is very, very, very clear. And I repeat that there was no, how would I call it, pressure. There was only advice by my friends, whom I consider to be my friends, and they will always be my friends because they've shown me the hands of friendship, to actually, during the whole explosion of news all over the world, 2 years to date, to actually keep a low profile and spend some time thinking and reflecting about what the events were actually saying. And that is what I have done. I have kept out of the limelight. I have tried to keep myself busy mentally, because this has been an extremely difficult period for myself. I've had no contact, as I've mentioned before, with my family, which is something which obviously somebody at my age, I'm going to be 60 in April, needs to have contact with my ailing parents, and the rest of my family. And this has been extremely difficult for me. I have been living a very lonely life with no social interaction, something to which I have had no previous experience of. So, to repeat, there has not been anybody who has in any way or form pressurized me, except giving me advice on my well-being, number one, because when it happened 2 years ago, I did not know where to turn. I was completely alone. I had no advice outside that of my friends, in which I was told it was better for me to keep a low profile and to leave what I was doing for a period of time. And that's what I did. Unfortunately, this period of time has now been protracted to 2 years, which is more than one can take. I am evidently at the end of my tether. I cannot take this anymore. I have not worked, not done any mental work in terms, I have kept away from all the news. I do not actually even read the news, because I have tried to keep away from everything. I have never, I repeat, never. In fact, this is perhaps one of the issues. I have never been paid by anybody to commit any intrusion into the privacy of another. I have never been that. And I am not a radical in the terms of trying to put somebody in touch with somebody else without his or her permission. I have always asked, is there a wish? Is there a request by A to be in contact with B? And I always ask A and B if they wish to do so. That is all. It was of interest to me to see that some of this networking actually had some fruit. So, in a text which I am preparing, and I am preparing a full text of all my thinking and of all the issues that I feel have actually taken place, not fake news, but real news and real events, I again categorically emphasize with all my might and with all my mind that, for example, Link Campus has had no interest and has not put me to task to try to get information or intelligence about any institution in the world. There was never that request. The request was to try to find other institutions which wish to network with the university in terms of its expertise, student experience, and, of course, something else, creating new knowledge and research. That was my underlying role. And to that role, I have tried to fulfill this until the very end. There was never any request which goes beyond these boundaries. It is also important to note that if somebody has an opinion about something, he should not be, if I may use the word, crucified for his thinking. If, for example, I think that this issue will happen or that election will take place with this outcome, it is with the adding up of A, B, C, and D. These might not be facts, but these might be realizations, advice from friends and others. This has been always my role. I am really at the very end now. I cannot take this anymore, unfortunately. I apologize for all those that I've hurt or that I have caused any harm in any way, although this has been done in a very, 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 very indirect way, because I have never tried to do any harm to anybody. This has been my whole issue. So with this, I am again underlying. I have tried to keep away from any issue which might hinder or cause difficulty to any institution. This has been the role of my role for these last 2 years. Before those 2 years, I tried, and I agree, and I confirm that I tried to network. Network means trying to get one think tank to speak to another think tank, one group of thinking with another group of thinking. I've always done this all my life since I was a child. So the idea is that where I was, I try to bring harmony. I try to bring one group with another. So sometimes I succeeded, many times I have failed, but I have tried. This comes and stems also from my upbringing. So may I underline again, coming also, this is something which is also important, coming from an area which has always tried to bring peace and always tried to bring one group with another. This has been always my role. I have not been given any instructions by anybody. I have not been forced to do something by anybody. I have not been paid to do anything by any group. I categorically, again, emphasize that I have not been with one party against another party or with one group against another group. That was not my intent, and I have never done that. I have, of course, have my own opinions, and I have always shown my opinions very, very clearly. So it is extremely, I have always been super diplomatic in terms of what I do. And I always keep contact. I've always kept contact, because for these last 2 years, I've had no contact with anybody, important or particular, is that I've always tried to keep contact with people, trying to bridge with them, trying to see how I can help. It was like an experience for me, trying to see that I knew people, they heard my voice, they heard my advice, I heard their advice, and then I showed, for example, to my students what are the different thinking in front of them. It is up to the individuals to do that. One last thing, it is extremely important to